this season. One being Taylor Jenkins, who was fired by the Memphis Grizzlies with about 2 weeks left in the season, despite a 44-29 record. Another big surprise came when the Nuggets fired Michael Malone days before the end of the regular season. The Nuggets were fighting for a top 4 seed in the West. We're also 15 games over 500. And now the Knicks letting go of Tom Thibodeau after snapping their longest conference finals drought in franchise history. The Knicks had 3 20-point comeback wins this postseason after having none from 1970 to 2024. In total, Tom Thibodeau won 24 playoff games in 5 seasons with the Knicks. That's 3 times as many playoff wins as the previous 12 Knicks head coaches combined, who have won 7 from 2006 to 2020. Our coach is here, Detroit Pistons head coach JB Bickerstaff. Great to have you, JB.
So, Coach,
I want to start with you on this. What do the coaching firings say about the coaching landscape in the NBA today?
It's not an easy job. I think that's first and foremost. We're no longer being on the judged on the job that we're asked to do. Like, we have to do more. Every year we sit down with our front offices. We lay out a plan of what a successful season looks like. If you ask anybody in the New York Knicks organization, outside looking in, you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's a successful job that Tibbs has done. I can't speak enough about the respect that he has in coaching circles, about the job that he's able to do. You're in a dogfight every time you face a Tibbs-led team. And I think he went out and did that with the Knicks. But, again, we have to do more, and we have to overachieve in order to just continue to progress and move forward.
Stephen A.?
Let me say this to you. You're absolutely right. It is a tough job. I think you epitomized that. I mean, when you got let go by Cleveland, you did a hell of a job, okay? Atkinson came, and he obviously did a hell of a job, so nobody's here to throw any kind of shade on him. But I can say this proudly because I have a vote. You were my coach of the year. I voted for you as coach of the year. I thought you did an outstanding job in Detroit, and props to you. But it's haphazard. We understand it, and it's that way because of player empowerment to some degree, in terms of the money that's being paid, the money that's being doled out. And even though NBA owners are making money, claiming that they don't, claiming all the time that they're struggling on a year-to-year basis and they don't really make money until they sell a team, when in fact, one could argue they are making money, so they should stop that nonsense. The level of impatience plays a role. I think one of the other things, Doggy, that should be mentioned, and I think Coach will agree with me here, the age of analytics has taken fold as well, where you have a lot of people that are looking at numbers. I can tell you right now on national television, and he'll probably be mad at me for saying this, but damn it, he ain't the one that told me, so guess what? He wasn't a source on this. One of the things that made Daryl Morey expedite his move out of Houston, they had lost a game, Doggy, and I believe it was a playoff game. And he walked up to owner Tillman Fertitta and showed him analytics, stats, and pointed out, he said, we really, really won, even though they had lost the game. From that moment forward, Fertitta was done. He wanted them going. He was like, he has to go. He had just lost it, okay? I know this from very reliable sources. I'm highlighting those things to point out that the climate has changed. The personnel that has infused the game has changed. What criticism or what critiques once existed has changed. The eye test, its importance has dissipated compared to analytics in some circles. At least that's the belief. And when you combine that with the fact that so much money is being paid to these players, if you can't maximize their potential, that's a really bad sign. But when those same individuals who's getting paid, whose potential you can't maximize, then speaks against you, you almost feel compelled to flow with them because they're the guaranteed investment that you can't wiggle your way out of, which leaves you at the behest of them. And all of those things have contributed to elevating the difficulty of coaching and the coaching profession, which is something the president of the Coach Association, Rick Carlisle, has spoken out against, along with others. And I can say this, JB, and I think you know this. There are very few people that has ever existed that's more protective of coaches than Rick Carlisle. This man,
sure.
I've known this man for almost 30 years. This guy Rick Carlisle, when you talk about a coach needing support and attention being brought to what ails the coaching profession, there is no better advocate for coaches than Rick Carlisle. Nobody's better. This man points it out, and I haven't heard from him yet, but I don't need to know what words are going to come out of his mouth when he's asked to comment about the exodus of Tom Thibodeau from the New York Knicks franchise. Nobody's going to be more furious than Rick Carlisle. I already know, and I haven't even spoken to him yet.
Mad Dog, do you feel like coaching expectations are unfair now?
Yeah, absolutely. Two things. First off, Daryl Morey is the most overrated general manager in the history of professional sport. He's never been to a final. I mean, enough of Daryl Morey with his data and his nonsense. Number two, I love Atkinson, and he got a raw deal from the Nets. But let's be fair, and I'm not just saying this because he's on Mad Dog Radio tomorrow. This guy did as good, went further in the playoffs than he did. He played the Celtics last year, who were the defending champs, and he didn't have Allen the whole series. And Mitchell didn't play in the last game and gave the Celtics a game, who won a title and played very well in it. Atkinson got not beat, got blown out by Indiana in the same round. Same round. So the idea that we bring Atkinson in, this means we win a championship. Well, JB did the same thing that Atkinson did, essentially, because it's about the playoffs in basketball. But I tell you, you guys who do this, and I mean you too, JB, God love you. Man, I'm an old school guy in sports. The coach is the boss. When the coach tells you to do something, you do it. You keep your mouth shut. And you just, I don't care what they're paying you. You have to have a level of authority. And you don't love the coach, deal with it. And we've lost that in sports today. You got to have sort of a 50-50 partnership with these athletes. And if you don't and it goes away, the athlete then goes to the front office making $50 million a year. I'm not playing for this guy. And then he doesn't put his name to it. That's one of these. I've always given Magic Johnson credit, because when Magic wanted Paul Westhead out of there in L.A. 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
He said so.
He said it. He said, hey, listen, put the blame on me. I don't want him here. We don't want to play for him. I'll be the boss. They end up winning a championship. Players don't do that today, which drives you crazy. But you can speak for anything else. God bless you. God bless you.
You may have gotten a raw deal, but I like you in Detroit better. I'm happy where you landed.
Listen, I'm happy where I am. There are a lot of talented coaches out there. And from a coach's perspective, when someone fills the job that you lost, you wish them well and want them to be successful. Like, I wish Kenny all the best. I wish that staff all the best and hope they are successful. From us, what we're trying to figure out is, as a coach, what is my job? What are the expectations? And how do I continue to move those expectations forward? The best organizations in this league are the teams and organizations that are the most consistent. When things get bumpy, when things get rocky, the things that they do is they hunker down onto the things that they believe in, the people they believe in, the players they believe in, and those are coaches as well. Like, when you bunker down with a coach you believe in, you give yourself that consistency so that you can be consistent in the long term. And that's why I say this now. I'm obviously biased, but I'm truly blessed to be where I am with Trajan Langdon, with Tom Gores, because they're the type of people that when it gets tough, they've got my back, and they've shown that.
Well, I will say this to you, couple of things. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Tom Gores. I've heard a lot of good things about him. I've heard a lot of good things about him, and I had the pleasure of meeting his wife at Madison Square Garden when you guys were there. I would tell you that. I would also say to you that Trajan Langdon, this kid is underrated. I mean, he's doing some special things in Detroit, and I give him a lot of props, okay? And I'm reticent about giving props to Duke dudes because I got to deal with Billy King all the damn time, and Jay Williams, and now J.J. Redick, and then Grant Hill, who I love dearly. You got to deal with these people. But it's important to point this out, Doggy. You brought up the players. And how, it drives you crazy, because they don't put their name to it and all that stuff. You're right about that. They should put their name to it. That's true. But it's not that you don't want them to have a voice. You just want them to be accountable because they're the ones on the basketball court. But ultimately, they're not the ones that hired the coach. And they're not the ones who, in an official capacity, fired the coach. That's management, which is why when we talk about Leon Rose, and to a lesser degree, James Dolan, if you want to say that, it is inexcusable what we're seeing from the New York Knicks, because devoid of the responsibility of having to give an explanation to a fan base, you operate with impunity. You don't get to be held accountable. The only